This is part 3 in a series where we are demonstrating some of the capabilities of GCAD Plus landscape design software. Previously, when we looked at a layout, a landscape plan, and I'll click back to it, this is the one we worked with before. We made sure we included in model space a scale bar, a north indicator, and we put a title block down here. It's a title block that contains attributes, so we just fill out information here and that information will be transmitted to that title block. If I select the floating viewport here, which I think is able to be selected, and I've got it now, the view scale over here is 41.721, so it's in fact it's not to scale. It's not a fixed scale, and there are times, and we've put an attribute in there and just entered NTS there. But if we come back here to this layout, which we've called Landscape Plan 1 to 50, let's imagine that we or our clients require a fixed scale. The way that's done is by adjusting the view from the layout sheet. So to do that, we can double click in here. That magenta box allows us to see through and into the full size design in model space, and you'll notice as I move things around here, the box is fixed. I can't get hold of it and drag it down. See, if I move, it's just one entity. It's fixed at a fixed scale. When I return to the layout sheet from that magenta box viewing of the target area, notice that the outline of the floating viewport is dotted. A quick way to get rid of the dot and return to just the view of the floating viewport is to double click close to the edge of that. But you can also select and right click and deactivate the viewport. So there are two ways to remove that. So here we are now, we're back in a layout which we've given a specific name, Layout Plan 1 to 50, and we now want to put a smaller title block down in here and add more information to it. Because we added that title block to that first landscape plan down here, it's a block called AW title block _1 because we're developing it for this particular consultancy. And let's go back here. We should be able to simply go to the blocks command that pops up this, and we look for AW title block 01. Now all of this is being designed mostly on an A2 sheet because that's what this consultancy uses, and this particular block should come in, whoops, AW title block 01. We don't want to add it from another, we want to simply insert it into the drawing. We'll insert it as, leave it as is, a scale of 1, and bring it in, but I wanted to demonstrate that it's a little bit big to fit in the space that we want, but we'll put it in there. And the advantage of this is that we can select the block and just scale it however we want. That looks to me as though I need to reduce it by about 1/3, and so I'll type 0.75 in the properties box, 0.75, and then I can select the block. The bottom corner is its insertion point and just drop it into position. And that was a guess, but it fits rather nicely. Now let's select it. Notice that these attributes now are empty, and what we want to do is dive in here to the scale and type 1 dash, can't remember, 50, and we put it in. Let's unselect all. Just need to refresh my memory. and yes, it's 1 to 50. So you can see the advantage here. You might copy some of the text and repopulate it, but that's a very convenient way and a very versatile way of using a title block. So now we're in a position to print that drawing with its extra information that we add. Notice that we have a plant schedule, and the next thing I would like to look at is, can we give these clients some information about the individual species that we're going to use. We've put some, we're going to use some sort of garden sculpture, and I've put 1 or 2 examples of plants being used, but that's better done, I think, by going to a whole layout tab where we identify the name and show a close-up, if we've got it, of individual species. These all come from our accompanying plant database file, and what we can do is export the plant schedule out to our accompanying database file and then print a lot of information about each species, and we'll show that, I think, in the next movie in this series.